Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Bitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Rana Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishikam Vitam Scha Om Jnana Timrandasya Gyanajana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhistam Supurakam Gurgana Rasisha Sambhushitam Chintya Samasta Veda Nipunam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Bidam Ujwalam Bharatanum Bhaktiyan Vidam Sundaram Bhande Vishwa Guruncha Divyat Bhagavat Prem Nawe Bija Pranam Devam Divyatanum Suchandavaranam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadekavaranam Vairagya Vidyambunim Sri Siddhanta Nidim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubhanam Mareka Sharanam Yashishvara Sridharam Vanshakopatarubyasya Kripasindu Vyavaja Patitanam Pavenibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad. This is Madhya-lila chapter 8, talks between the Lord and Ramananda Raya. And the Lord, Mahaprabhu is progressively hearing from Ramananda Raya, who's citing verses. We're concluding hearing about Dasharas, about service to the Lord, and so this is verse number 73. Bhavantam evanu charan nirantara prashanta nishesha manoratantara karaham aikantika nitya kingara praharshayishyami sanata jivitam. By serving you constantly, one is freed from all material desires and is completely pacified. When shall I engage as your permanent eternal servant and always feel joyful to have such a perfect master? Prabhu kohe ehohoe kichuagayar raya kohe sakya prema sarvasadyasar. Hearing this from Ramananda Raya, the Lord again requested him to go a step further. In reply, Ramananda Raya said, loving service to Krishna rendered in fraternity is the highest perfection. Fraternity means as a friend, Sakya-ras. As long as loving service is rendered to the Lord in the master-servant relationship, there is some fear, for the servant is always afraid of the master, despite the intimacy of self-interest. In this stage, the servant is always afraid of the master and respectful of him. When the devotee is further advanced, he has nothing to fear. He considers the Lord and himself on an equal level. At such a time, the devotee is fully convinced that Lord Krishna is a friend and cannot at all be dissatisfied if the devotee lives with him on an equal level. This understanding is called Vishramba, that is, devoid of respectful attitude. When this attitude is chosen, it becomes Sakya Prema, or love of God and in friendship. On this stage, there is developed consciousness of equality between the Lord and the devotee. So the servant, in Dasharas, the servant maintains some respectful attitude towards the Lord. But in Sakya-ras, there is a level of intimacy that one considers himself or on the on an equal level with the Lord. So, itam satam brahma sukanu puja dasham gatanam paradaivatena maya shritanam naradarakena sardam vijaru krita punya punjaha itam satam brahma sukanubhutya dasham gatanam paradaivatena maya shritanam naradarakenam sardam vijaru krita punya punjaha. Neither those engaged in the self-realization of approaching the Brahman effulgence of the Lord, nor those engaged in devotional service while accepting the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Master, nor those under the clutches of Maya, thinking the Lord an ordinary person, can understand that certain exalted personalities, after accumulating volumes of pious activities, are now playing with the Lord in friendship as cowherd boys. This is a statement made by Sukadeva Goswami, who appreciated the good fortune of the cowherd boys who played with Krishna and ate with him on the banks of the Jamuna. This verse is very nice. Itam satam brahma sukhanubhutya dasham gatanam paradaivatena maya shritanam naradarakena sardam vijaru kritapunya punjaha. Neither those engaged in the self-realization of neither those engaged in the self-realization of appreciating the Brahman effulgence of the Lord, nor those engaged in devotional service while accepting the Lord as Master, nor those under the clutches of Maya, thinking the Lord an ordinary person, can understand that certain exalted personalities, after accumulating volumes of pious activities, are now playing with the Lord in friendship as cowherd boys. So, after having accumulated heaps of pious activities, heaps of sukriti, and they have gone to all the holy places, they bathed in all the sacred rivers, they've done so much, and now they are coming to play with the Lord as equals, and no one can understand how advanced these persons are. Prabhu kohe eho uttama age kohuar raya kohe vatsalya prema sarva sadyasar. The Lord said, this statement is very good, but please proceed even further. Ramananda Roy then replied, loving service to the Lord in the parental relationship is the highest perfectional stage. So we went from Dasharas to Sakya, and now the Lord asked Ramananda Roy to go further, and he's talking about Vatsalya Ras, the parental relationship with the Lord. The stage of loving service to the Lord in parental affection is an advanced stage of love, and fraternity. In the fraternal relationship, there is a sense of equality. But when that sense of equality is advanced in affection, one attains the platform of parental love. In this connection, the following verse is cited from Srimad Bhagavatam, wherein Sukadeva Goswami voices his appreciation of Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda's intense love for Krishna. Nanda kim akarod brahman shreya evam mahodayam Yashoda va mahabhaga papo yashya stanam hari. Nanda kim akarod brahman shreya evam mahodayam Yashoda va mahabhaga papo yashya stanam harihi. Ramananda Roy continued, O Brahmana, what pious activities did Nanda Maharaj perform by which he received the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna as his son? And what pious activities did Mother Yashoda perform that made the absolute Supreme Lord Krishna call her mother and suck her breast? Ramananda Roy continued, O Brahman, what pious activities did Nanda Maharaj perform by which he received the Lord Krishna as his son? And what pious activities did Mother Yashoda perform that made the absolute Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna call her mother and suck her breast? Nemam varinsho na bhavo na shrir api anga samshraya prasadam libere gopi yatat prapa vimuktitat. The favor Mother Yashoda obtained from Sri Krishna, the bestower of liberation, was never obtained even by Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva, nor even by the goddess of fortune, who always remains on the chest of the Lord of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. The favor Mother Yashoda obtained from Sri Krishna, the bestower of liberation, was never obtained even by Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva, nor even by the goddess of fortune, who always remains on the chest of Lord Vishnu. This is a statement from Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna agreed to be bound by Mother Yashoda after she had given up trying to bind Krishna with ropes. This is another appreciation made by Sukadeva Goswami in his narration of the pastimes of Krishna before Maharaj Parikshit. Prabhu kohe eho utama age koho ar raya kohe kanta prema sarva sadyasar. The Lord said, your statements are certainly getting better. The Lord said, your statements are certainly getting better and better, one after the other. But surpassing all of them is another transcendental rasa, and you can speak of that as the most sublime. Ramananda Roy then replied, conjugal attachment for Krishna is the topmost position in love of Godhead. In general, love of Godhead is devoid of the intimacy of ownership. In the case of love and servitude, there is a want of confidence. There is a want of increased affection in the fraternal relationship, or sakiras. And even when this affection increases in the parental relationship, there is nonetheless a want of complete freedom. However, when one becomes a conjugal lover of Krishna, we can say a lover of Krishna, everything lacking in the other relationships is completely manifest. Love of Godhead lacks nothing in the conjugal stage. The summary of this verse is that parental love of Godhead is certainly higher than fraternal love, and that conjugal love is higher yet. It was when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested Ramananda Roy to go further that he came to the point of the conjugal relationship, which is the highest perfectional stage of transcendental love. So when we talk about conjugal love, we're referring to Krishna's relationship on a level of, as Krishna is a lover of the gopis, like that. Nayam Shriyonga Unitanta Rate Prasada Swaryoshitam Nalina Ganda Rucham Kutonyaha Rasotsavesha Bhujadanda Grihita Kanta Labda Shisham Ya Uragad Vraja Sundarinam Nayam Shriyonga Nitandarate prasada Svaryoshitam nalina gandha rucham kutonyaha rasotsavesha bhujadanda grihita kanta labda shisham ya uragad vraja sunarinam. When Lord Sri Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Rasa-lila, the gopis were embraced around the neck by the Lord's arms. This transcendental favor was never bestowed upon the goddess of fortune or the other consorts in the spiritual world, nor was such a thing ever imagined by the most beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, girls whose bodily luster and aroma resemble the beauty and fragrance of lotus flowers. And what to speak of worldly women who may be very, very beautiful according to material estimation. When Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Rasa-lila, the gopis were embraced around the neck by the Lord's arms. This favor was never bestowed upon the goddess of fortune or the other consorts in the spiritual world, nor was such a thing ever imagined by the most beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, girls whose bodily luster and aroma resembled the beauty and fragrance of lotus flowers. And what to speak of worldly women who may be very, very beautiful according to material estimation. This verse was spoken by Uddhava when he visited Sri Vrindavan to deliver a message from Krishna to the gopis. Uddhava remained in Vrindavan to observe the activities of the gopis there. When he saw the ecstatic love for Krishna in separation manifested by the gopis, he appreciated their supreme love and therefore expressed his feelings in this verse. He admitted that the fortune of the gopis could not be compared even to the fortune of the goddess of fortune, to say nothing of the beautiful girls in the heavenly planets. So Ramananda Raya is talking with Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu has expressed his appreciation for what Ramananda Raya is saying, but he keeps on telling Ramananda Raya to go further and further, or higher and higher. So Ramananda Raya spoke first of having a relationship with Krishna as a servant, Dasharas. And Mahaprabhu appreciated those statements, but he asked him to go further. Then Ramananda Raya recited verses about the position of Krishna's cowherd boyfriends, who was said that no one could imagine that these small boys had already gone through and surpassed all levels of austerities and had engaged in all forms of penances, and after volumes or heaps of pious activities had attained the position of small boys in relationship with Krishna as a friend. And then Mahaprabhu appreciated that. He said, this is uttam, but go on and say something more. And then Ramananda Roy talked about, after Sakya Ras, he talked about Vatsalya Ras, about the relationship with Krishna as a parent, like Mother Yashoda or Nanda Maharaj. And that was appreciated by Mahaprabhu, but then he asked him to speak something more, and then now Ramananda Roy is talking about the position of persons in Vatsalya Ras, those who are in relationship with Krishna as a lover. So he talks about this. When Lord Sri Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Rasa-lila, the gopis were embraced around the neck by the Lord's arms. This transcendental favor was never bestowed upon the goddess of fortune or the other consorts in the spiritual world, nor was such a thing ever imagined by the most beautiful girls in the heavenly planets. girls whose bodily luster and aroma resemble the beauty and fragrance of lotus flowers. And what to speak of worldly women who may be very, very beautiful according to material estimation. Tasam avira bhujchuri smayamana mukambujaha pitambara darash shragvi sakshan manmataha tasam avira bhujchuri smayamana mukambujaha pitambara dara shragvi Sakshan manmataha. Suddenly, due to their feelings of separation, Lord Krishna appeared among the gopis dressed in yellow garments and wearing a flower garland. His lotus face was smiling, and he was directly attracting the mind of Cupid. This verse is from Srimad Bhagavatam, when the rasa dance was going on. Krishna suddenly disappeared, and the gopis became so overwhelmed due to his separation and their intense love for him that Krishna was obliged to appear again. So Krishna appears after disappearing to increase the longing of the gopis, and he appears to them, it says, Pitambara Dara Shragvi, dressed in yellow garments and wearing a flower garland. Krishna praptir upaya bahubida hoy, Krishna prapti taratamya bahuta achai. There are various means and processes by which one may attain the favor of Krishna. All those processes will be studied from the viewpoint of comparative importance. So when a devotee is in a relationship with Krishna, whether it's Dasharas as a servant, or it's Sakyaras as a friend, or it's Vatsalyaras as a parent or elderly person, or elderly gopa, or in Vatsalya, that's Vatsalya Ras, or in the relationship of conjugal love, Sakya Ras. Sakya Ras is friendship, so. Yeah, but I'm thinking of the Madhura Ras. I said it wrong before, but this is Madhurya Ras.
Srila Janardan Maharaj.
They smell very good. Okay. Madhurya Ras. Then, so a devotee in any of these rasas, whether as a servant or friend or as a parent or as a lover, they'll be completely satisfied with that rasa and they won't think of anything else. But here it's mentioned there are various means and processes by which one may attain the favor of Lord Krishna. All those transcendental processes will be studied from the viewpoint of comparative importance. So comparative importance means they can be all the rasas can be seen, and they can be seen what are the characteristics of this rasa and why is this rasa the next in the development of love of Godhead in different stages. So that's the comparative side. If someone's engaged in a rasa, they're completely satisfied with that rasa. So, and there won't be any comparative study from that viewpoint. But when It said we'll talk about all the different rasas and how they develop one to another. Then we'll talk about a comparative viewpoint. And that's explained here in this next verse. Kintu jara jerasa se sarvatam tatasta hana vicharile achetaratam. Kintu jara jerasa se sarvatam tatasta hana vicharile achetaratam. It is true that whatever relationship a particular devotee has with the Lord is the best for him or her. Still, when we study all the different methods from a neutral position, we can understand that there are higher and lower degrees of love. So it just means that there'll be some comparison made. It is true that whatever relationship a particular devotee has with the Lord is the best for that devotee, but still when we study all the different methods from a neutral position, we can understand that there are higher and lower degrees of love. In this regard, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that this verse does not advocate the whimsical invention of some methods of love of Godhead. Such inventions cannot be accepted as topmost. Indeed, such concoctions are not recommended in these verses. Srila Rupa Goswami has said in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidim Vina Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpat Dayaiva Kalpate. He clearly mentions in this verse that one must refer to the Vedic literature and other supplementary literatures and follow the conclusion of the Vedas. An invented devotional attitude simply creates disturbances in the transcendental realm. If a person overly addicted to family life takes to Srimad Bhagavatam or Krishna consciousness to earn a livelihood, his activity is certainly offensive. One should not become a caste guru and sell mantras for the benefit of mundane customers, nor should one make disciples for a livelihood. All these activities are offensive. One should not make a livelihood by forming a professional band to carry out congregational chanting, nor should one perform devotional service when one is attached to mundane society, friendship, and love, nor should one be dependent on so-called social etiquette. All of this is mental speculation. None of these things can be compared to unalloyed devotional service. No one can compare unalloyed devotional service, Krishna consciousness, to mundane activities. There are many unauthorized parties pretending to belong to the Sri Chaitanya cult, and some are known as Ao, Bao, Kartabhaja, Neda, Dharavesha, Sani, Saki Beki, Smarta, Jata Gosai, Atibadi, Chudadari, and Goranganagari. These are all Upasampradayas or Sahaja Sampradayas, like that. Moreover, there are those who take the caste Goswamis' opinions of such parties as bona fide, comparing these opinions to those of the 6 Goswamis, headed by Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatan. This is simply another cheating process. There are also non-devotees who compose unauthorized songs, who establish different temples for money, who worship the deity as priests for salaries, who accept caste brahmanas as all in all, and who do not know the value of a pure Vaishnava. Actually, the caste Brahmins of the Smarta community are opposed to the principles of the Sattvata Pancharatra. Furthermore, there are many Mayavadis and those overly addicted to material sense enjoyment. None of these can be compared to a person who is purely engaged in preaching Krishna consciousness. Every Krishna conscious person is constantly endeavoring to utilize different transcendental devices in the service of the Lord. Such a devotee renounces all material enjoyment and completely dedicates himself to the service of his spiritual master and Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He may be a perfect celibate, a restrained householder, a regulated vanaprastha, or a tridandi sannyasi in the renounced order. It doesn't matter. The pseudo-transcendentalist and the pure devotees cannot be compared, nor can one argue that a person can invent his own way of worship. The purport in presenting this verse necessitates explaining the comparative positions of the transcendental mellows known as Shanta, Dasha, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. All these rasas or mellows are situated on the transcendental platform. So Shanta is neutral, no service. Dasha, servitude. Sakya, friendship. Vatsalya, parenthood. And Madhurya, with the relationship of Krishna as lover. All these rasas or mellows are situated on the transcendental platform. Pure devotees take shelter of one of them and thus progress in spiritual life. Actually, one can take shelter of such spiritual mellows only when one is completely uncontaminated by material attachment. When one is completely free from material attachment, the feelings of the transcendental mellows are awakened in the heart of the devotee. That is Swarupa Siddhi, the perfection of one's eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. Swarupa Siddhi, the eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord, may be situated in any one of the transcendental mellows. Each and every one of them is as perfect as the others, but by comparative study, an unbiased person can realize that the mellow of servitorship is better than the mellow of neutrality, that the mellow of fraternity is better than the mellow of servitorship, that the parental mellow is better than that of fraternity, and that above all other mellows is the mellow of conjugal love. However, these are all spiritually situated on the same platform because all these relationships of perfection and love are based on a central point, Krishna. These mellows cannot be compared to the feelings one derives from demigod worship. Krishna is one, but the demigods are different. They are material. Love for Krishna cannot be compared to material love for different demigods. Because Mayavadis are on the material platform, they recommend the worship of Shiva or Durga and say that worship of Kali and Krishna are the same. However, on the spiritual platform, there is no demigod worship. The only worshipable object is Krishna. Therefore, although there is no difference between a devotee in Shanta Rasa or Dasha Rasa, Vatsalya Rasa, or Madhurya Rasa, one can still make a comparative study of the intensity of love in these different transcendental positions. For example, it may be said that Dasha Rasa is better than Shanta Rasa, yet transcendental love of God is there in both of them. Similarly, we can judge that love of God in fraternity is better than love of God in neutrality and servitorship. Similarly, love of Godhead in parental affection is better than love in fraternity. And as stated before, love of God in the conjugal rasa is superior to that in the parental rasa. The analysis of different types of love of Godhead has been made by expert acharyas who know all about devotional service on the transcendental platform. Unfortunately, inexperienced and unauthorized persons in the mundane world, not understanding the transcendental position of pure love, try to find some material fault in the transcendental process. This is simply impudence on the part of spiritually inexperienced people. Such fault-finding is symptomatic of unfortunate mundane wranglers. So here, in the purport, what is being explained is that, as it said, any one of the relationships will be completely satisfying to the devotee who's engaged in a loving relationship with the Lord. But still we find that if we look at all the different relationships, they progress from one to the next, from Shanta Ras to Dasha Ras, to Sakya Ras, to Vatsalya Ras, to Madhurya Ras. We'll find that in each relationship there is an added element to the relationship. And later we'll hear this is compared to the material elements. First we consider that there is ether, and in ether there is sound, and then there is air, and in air there is sound and touch, and then comes fire. There's sound, touch, and form. Then comes water. There's sound, touch, form, and taste, and then comes earth. There's sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. So the element of sound is in all the quality of sound is there in, we can say, in ether, in air, in fire, in water, and also in earth. There's sound is there, but there's added elements in each different material element. Similarly, in Shantaras, there's a sense of attachment. There is a sense of appreciation or attachment for the Supreme Lord. But in Dasharas, to that is added the element of servitude. And then in Sakyaras, or friendship, there's still attachment to the Lord, the element of servitude, but there is also more intimacy. And then in the level of Vatsalyaras, or parentalhood, there's attachment, there's service, there's intimacy, and there's also a sense of, we can say, like a sense of ownership. And then in the level of Madhurya Ras, then there is still more, a loving relationship, reciprocal relationship going on. So I'll read. Yatotaram aso svada vishesho lasa maya yapi ratir vasanaya shadvi basate kapi kashyachit. Increasing love is experienced in various tastes, one above another, but that love which has the highest taste in the gradual succession of desires manifests itself in the form of conjugal love, or of Madhurya Ras. Purva raser guna pare pare hoy duitina ganane pancha paryanta badai. There is a gradual order of improvement in transcendental mellows or rasas. There is a gradual order of improvement in transcendental mellows or rasas, from the initial ones to the later ones. In each subsequent mellow, the qualities of the previous mellows are manifested, counting from 2, then 3, and up to the point of 5 complete qualities. Gunadikya Svadadikya Bhare Pratirase Shantadasya Sakya Vatsaljara Gunam Mudhurate Vaishe. As the qualities increase, so the taste also increases in each and every mellow. Therefore, the qualities found in Shantaras, Dasharas, Sakyaras, and Vatsalyaras are all manifested in conjugal love, Madhurya Ras. As the qualities increase, so the taste also increases in each and every mellow. Therefore, the qualities found in Shantaras, Dasharas, Sakyaras, and Vatsalyaras are all manifested in conjugal love, Madhurya Ras. So it's some elements are, quality is increasing in each, but the qualities of the previous rasa are found in the next rasa. Akashadir guna jene parapara bhute duitin krame bare pancha pratibite. The qualities of the material elements, sky, air, fire, water, and earth, increase one after another by a gradual process of 1, 2, and 3. And at the last stage, in the element earth, all 5 qualities are completely visible. The qualities of the material elements, sky, sometimes they say ether, but sky, then air, fire, water, and earth increase one after another by a gradual process of 1, 2, and 3. And at the last stage in the element earth, all 5 qualities are completely visible. Paripurna Krishna Prapti e prema hoite e premara vasha Krishna kohe bhagavate. Complete attainment of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna is made possible by love of Godhead, specifically Madhurya Ras, or conjugal love. Lord Krishna is indeed captivated by this standard of love. This is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. So there is a development, and we can also see that coming to that level of development of Madhurya Rasa as a lover, also even in the reflection in this world, we see there's some development there from the level of servant to friend to parent or elderly, person taking, or somebody, taking care of someone younger, parent, or maybe as an uncle or aunt, etc. It's all Vatsalya. Then comes Madhurya as a lover. Complete attainment of the lotus feet of Krishna is made possible by love of God, and specifically Madhurya Ras, or conjugal love. Lord Krishna is indeed captivated by this standard of love. This is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. To explain the topmost quality of conjugal love, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami gives the example of the material elements, sky, air, fire, water, and earth. In the sky space, there is a quality of sound. Similarly, in air, there are the qualities of sound and touch. In fire, there are 3 qualities, sound, touch, and form. In water, there are 4 qualities, sound, touch, form, and taste. Finally, in earth, there are all 5 qualities, sound, touch, form, taste, and also smell. Now one can see that the quality of the sky is in all, namely in air, fire, water, and earth. In earth we can find all the qualities of material nature. The same can be applied to the rasa known as Madhurya Rasa, or conjugal love. In conjugal love, there are the qualities of neutrality, servitorship, fraternity, and parental affection, as well as those of conjugal love itself. The conclusion is that through conjugal love, the Lord is completely satisfied. Conjugal love, Madhurya Rasa, is also known as Sringara Rasa. It is the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam that in the complete combination of loving service to the Lord, namely in conjugal love, the Supreme Lord fully agrees to be under the control of the devotee. The highest form of conjugal love is represented by Srimati Radharani. Therefore, in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, we can see that Krishna is always subjugated by Srimati Radharani's influence. That's called Sringara Rasa. Mai bhakti bhutanam amritat vaya kalpate dishtayad asin matsneho bhavatinam mad apanaha. Lord Krishna told the gopis, Lord Krishna told the gopis, the means of attaining my favor is loving service unto me, and fortunately you are all thus engaged. Those living beings who render service unto me are eligible to be transferred to the spiritual world and attain eternal life with knowledge and bliss. The fulfillment of human life is summarized in this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. There are two important words in this verse: bhakti, devotional service, and amritatva, eternal life. The aim of human life is to attain the natural position of eternal life. This eternal life can be achieved only by devotional service. Krishnera praptigya drita sarvakalayache jai che bhaje Krishna tare bhaje taiche. Lord Krishna has made a firm promise for all time. If one renders service unto him, Krishna correspondingly gives him an equal amount of success in devotional service to the Lord. So what's going to be discussed here is a very important point, which is basically that Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, Ye yatam mam prapadyante tams tataiva bhajami aham. He's saying, as they surrender to me, I respond to them in a way that's commensurate or equal to their surrender to me. And Krishna says that. As one surrenders to me, I also surrender myself to that person. But then what's going to be discussed here, which we'll hear tomorrow, is that Krishna is saying, I have said this, but when it comes to conjugal love, for instance, the gopis, I am unable to keep that promise because I cannot give myself to them as much as they give themselves to me. The amount of love that they have for me is unimaginable, and how I can reciprocate completely with them, because I cannot. Their love is for me is always increasing, and I am unable. Although I said that I will surrender myself in the same degree as a person surrenders to me, Krishna says, in the sense, and when it comes to the gopis' love, then I cannot. I'm unable to keep that promise because their love is so great for me that I cannot, even though I may try, I cannot give myself to them to that same degree. So that's what's going to be discussed as the superior quality of Madhurya Rasa to all the other rasas, and tomorrow we'll talk about that.